So we've spoken about affordances. Now let's talk about the feedback. So in the real world, we have luxuries of a button. When it's pressed, there'll be a click, there might be a tap. So on your keyboard or perhaps on the elevator, something lights up. Or like when you're boiling water in a kettle, you hear the clicks and the sounds. And we have all these feedback mechanisms which tell us that the action that we've triggered is taking place. On digital screens, we don't really have those kind of affordances that remind us that something has actually happened. There isn't that feedback. So you see a button, it's quite big, it's really prominent, you press it, and then you wait for an actual action to take place. But then frustration sets in because you're not sure what's happening, if anything's happened, or if the button has received your action. So you start getting really frustrated. Then you might engage with the button again. But what happens is, in some cases, say especially on the web, if you submit the button again, the form resets from the beginning. So then you're just re-triggering or restarting the whole action from the start. So you're waiting even longer. And this is because there hasn't been any kind of mechanism to feed back to the user that the action that they've triggered has been received. So there are different UI elements that you can use to actually indicate feedback. So hover states or active states. So hover state is when you roll over an element, that it changes color, perhaps size. And the active state might be that it permanently changes. So like a radio button has a tick that shows that this is now active or working. We also have ripple effects. So you can have this animation that appears where the user touches on the screen or clicks, just to show that, yes, we've received your action and it's in flight. And then you may have other UI elements which reaffirm to the user something that's actually going on. Responsive motion, when a user taps an element, the whole thing animates and shows that the area that they've tapped on is now the focus in the UI. This also can help show like a loading state to reaffirm to the user that something is going on and it's about to actually load. So when thinking about feedback, you want to make sure that you're reassuring the user that something has happened. You want to use ripple, hover, and active effects to, again, reaffirm that something is going on. And finally, you want to think about touch and click because they are different. There are many devices which work with keyboards, especially like tablets, so you have to think about how things work on from a touch perspective and a click, even mobile devices which can connect to keyboards as well. So you need to take all these things into consideration, even if you're just designing for mobile devices, or in this case, we're just designing a mobile app. So that's designing for feedback. Think about that. Think about designing for affordances and how these both work together.